Welcome to Faith Speaks here at the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church. We are on WICX 102.7 FM, Hope Radio, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back today. And I'm so pleased to have as my guest as Kathy, and Kathy, your last name is Moulis, right?
Kathleen Moulis.
Moulis,
correct.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so you're here today. We're going to talk about an organization that's been very prominent here in the city of Concord, and it's the Catholic Daughters of America. Now, I know there's another name. It's Margaret. Is it Margaret Desmond Court or Court?
Well, actually, first of all, thank you, Dick, for inviting me. I'm very pleased and honored to be here. But I thought I would start by actually getting into that area of the history of the Catholic Daughters, which is what you had referred to as our name.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Daughters of the Americas was founded in 1903 in Utica, New York, by the Knights of Columbus.
Now, isn't that different now? You think obviously they had their own, but I wondered how that started.
Yeah.
So they're over 100 years old then.
Correct. 1903.
113 years old now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the organization was originally known as the Daughters of Isabella.
Now, I did hear of that somewhere. I wonder, okay.
Yeah. And the Knights established the rituals of the installation and the standards of unity and charity. In 1921, the organization's name was changed to Catholic Daughters of the Americas. And the Catholic Daughters at that time were very involved in social work, such as the Red Cross, the USO, first aid and blood banks, and surgical dressing during World War I and World War II. The sevenfold program of involvement for Catholic Daughters was organized and changed its name to Heart Speaks to Heart. 20 years later, the Circle of Love replaced Heart Speaks to Heart program, and to this day is currently referred to as the Circle of Love programs.
It almost sounds nicer in a way than Heart Speaks to Heart, but that's good though. It's a nice change.
Yeah, and what it really means is the Circle of Love is that there are 7 different project-related areas that Catholic Daughters become involved in charity. And the first is quality of life. The second is spiritual enhancement. Third is legislation. Fourth is family. Fifth is leadership. Sixth is education. And seventh is youth.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
Yes, and that exists currently across the world in all of the Catholic Daughter affiliates.
Now, how many? When you say across the world, how many countries other than the United States has this chapter? Any idea at all?
I know in South America and in Europe there are a number of different chapters. I don't have the exact data, but it is worldwide. The Philippines, I think, is another. Yeah. And it is the largest organization of Catholic women in the Americas.
Oh, my goodness.
From its inception in 1903, it's grown and developed as the largest organization. Under the patronage of the Blessed Mother, its members are united by faith in Jesus Christ and then devotion to the Church and the Holy See.
Interesting.
The purposes of the organization are to participate in the religious, charitable, and educational apostolates of the Church. And Catholic Daughters of the Americas, including this court, Margaret K. Desmond, number 167 in Concord, engage in creative and spiritual programs which provide its members with the opportunity to develop their God-given talents in meaningful ways that positively influence the welfare of the Church and all people throughout the world.
Now, curiosity, Catherine, how did the name Margaret K. Desmond come into effect?
Well, actually, in the piece of the history of the Concord Court, the Concord chapter was organized in April 1912 and called Court Concord, and the name was changed to Court Margaret K. Desmond in 1937 in honor of Mrs. Margaret K. Desmond, a nurse who was the first Grand Regent, now called Regent. She was our first state regent from 1925 to 1933. Okay. And over the years, the charitable, spiritual, and civic activities of the court have been numerous.
Interesting. So then you've got another anniversary coming up next year for the Concord chapter. And
Correct. We are 104 years old
wow,
right now.
Interesting.
Yes, and so the Catholic Daughters of the Americas strives to embrace the principle of faith through love and the promotion of justice and equality and the advancement of human rights and human dignity for all. Our court continues today to contribute to various local, state, and national charitable organizations. For example, we contribute to the St. Charles Home in Rochester, New Hampshire, Habitat for Humanity, Morality in the Media, as part of our state and national charities. And locally, we take part with the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry. We provide toiletries and food and volunteer at the food pantry to give out items to the homeless and the poor. Another charity that we are involved in actively is the support of the CareNet Pregnancy Center in Concord.
Yeah.
We hold a baby shower annually in January and donate the items to the CareNet Center. We also give a monetary donation to support CareNet's work. Another area that we're involved in is supporting the New Hampshire Right to Life by helping to host the March for Life reception at Christ the King Parish's Activity Center in January. So we provide and prepare and serve food for the reception and assist the speakers and organizations that display information for people attending the day's events. Usually over 400 people attend.
That's quite an attendance there.
Yes, it is. And we support the children in our community by hosting the Snapshots and Snacks with Santa program. We have refreshments and crafts and activities for children. We invite Santa to attend, and the family has a chance to take photos of their children with Santa, and this takes place at the St. John's Activity Center as well. Our parish, with the support of Pastor Father Richard Roberge, supports this event. And Father Rich is also our chaplain for our chapter, our Concord Court, and provides us much support and guidance. In fact, he and his staff support our major fundraiser, the Easter Basket Raffle fundraiser each year, which allows us to continue our works of charity, as mentioned today in our conversation.
I don't know how he does it down there because Father Rich has been wonderful, and I've had to ask him to come up and do the blessing of the manger and the tree at the State House Plaza every year. When the day after Thanksgiving, we have the annual Christmas tree lighting. And sometimes the local clergy, who the chaplain of the Knights of Columbus, can't come, or if I alternate, Father Rich has been good to come up in their place, and he did this last year. And I just don't know how he does it, because now with St. Peter's and Sacred Heart all merged in together, he must be, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it.
Well, he's extremely talented and has such a multifaceted job as a pastor of such a large organization in Concord, a community this large that has blended 3 churches together.
Oh, I know it.
It's incredible the work that he has done.
Because he's about the only priest down there. Basically, there's a retired one, Father George.
Yes.
And there's, 1 or 2 deacons there?
Yes.
And
actually,
that's it?
3 now, 3 deacons.
Really?
Yeah. But
Boy.
it's a very vibrant parish, and again, I agree with you. I don't know how he finds the time to administer and manage all of what he does. It's amazing.
He's been going to come on here as a guest, and of course Tuesdays happens to be his day off.
Right.
So I'm taping on Thursday, so that doesn't give me an out now. But I've been trying to get a hold of him, but now with us in Lent, it's very difficult to really get him. So,
right. Yeah.
But anyhow, and I see you support the parish in several ways.
Yes, actually, we support the parish youth group in their fundraisers, such as the Super Bowl Sunday subs and the Palm Sunday breakfast. And they raise money to work in the summer at work camp.
Yeah.
So we make and provide rosaries for youth receiving confirmation. We support the children of Christ the King Parish and IHM with providing First Communion books and making each child a set of rosaries. We also greet and provide refreshments at the First Communion Masses and receptions. And we support the children of the Eucharist by providing refreshments and serving at the reception. In general, members of our court volunteer at local nursing homes. The members also donate religious gifts, prayer cards, and Advent cards for residents at the local nursing homes and to court members who are homebound. And we then deliver to each person at Christmas time. We provide religious cards and rosary beads to the military, both locally to the Air Force members in New Hampshire being deployed and at Walter Reed Hospital. And we provide and deliver greeting cards to prisoners at the Concord prison.
Interesting.
We have a large component under spirituality.
Well, I can see that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Each member of our court provides spiritual bouquets for the religious, for increased vocations to the priesthood and to consecrated life, for peace in our nation and the world, and for an end to abortion, for guidance and vision for Christ the King parish, for increase in Catholic Daughters of the Americas membership, and for CareNet Pregnancy Center and St. Charles Home. Our Catholic Daughter members pray the Year of Mercy prayer, adapted from the prayer penned by Pope Francis. And our court participates in projects specific to the Circle of Love charity that I mentioned earlier. So we are involved in spiritual enhancement, which involves much of what I have highlighted just now, legislation supporting life issues such as CareNet Pregnancy Center and the New Hampshire Right to Life organization, quality of life, helping the homeless and the poor, and supporting Catholics in nursing homes. And just in general, members of the Catholic Daughters in Concord and our parish in numerous ways help as serving as sacristans, altar servers, Eucharistic ministers, members of the parish pastoral council, and facilitating at the Alpha Evangelical Experience currently taking place at Christ the King Parish. So we continue to be vibrant, but we need to grow our membership and get more people involved in the charity and unity that are Catholic Daughters. We encourage women to attend as a guest to any of our meetings. Our meetings usually begin at 6:30 p.m., usually on the third Wednesday of the month, and followed by refreshments. The meetings take place at St. John's Activity Center. And if anyone is interested in attending, they can contact me directly. My telephone number is 603-848-1809. We currently have 37 members as part of our chapter.
That's what I was going to ask you. You have 37 members. How many of them are active or how many of them are homebound? And do you have a pretty...
We have an older population, and which is why we are trying desperately to recruit, because it is an aging court.
Oh, yes.
And I would say 20 probably are active at this point. Some of them are lifetime members in nursing homes. So we continue to strive to increase the membership. And that, I think, is true nationally of these organizations. Many of the volunteer organizations, I'm sure the Knights of Columbus is probably may attest to the same thing, that it's difficult to get people to volunteer in this day and age with everything else going on.
It is, because you go to Mass, and no matter if it's Saturday afternoon, which is what I like to go, or the Sunday or Sunday night, but you have a large crowd of people, but I don't think a quarter of them or an eighth of them really are interested in helping. They don't mind coming to the holiday fairs and maybe donating or certainly buying something or whatever, but to ask them to join in to help set up or take down, or they don't want to be involved. And I know we have the same problem in the Grange, and I know many other organizations like the Elks or the Eagles, the Kiwanis, another group, same thing. They get maybe 20 out to a meeting, and that's it. I mean, I had talked with someone from the Legion and the VFW several times, and they have memberships of over 1,000 or more members. They're lucky if they get 10 to a meeting. Well, that's sad.
It is. It
really is. But what are you going to do? And you try to keep going and try to keep the services or activities that you sponsor, but sometimes people get tired.
Right. It's true.
And they don't want to do it anymore.
Growing families and children and their activities. And
That's true.
You know, the use of technology now, and you know, everything that's involved in the day-to-day work of women now that are, for the most part, working outside of the home. So it is a busy life that women in this generation have.
It's not like it used to be years ago when the wives generally didn't work. They were home, and of course the kids also were not so involved in after school activities such as sports or drama club or band, whatever. Now there's so many things. The poor mother or father, they're going every minute. They don't know. And then if you don't have the school activities, you have the other things going on in the city that they get involved in, at the recreation parks or the Boys and Girls Club or YMCA office or Scouts. So there you go. You know, it's an, I don't know how it goes, I can tell you. But then again, like myself, we were brought up to volunteer, especially when we didn't have much to begin with. My mother always told us kids that if someone is nice to you, that you should always give back something, either half of what you get or something.
Right.
If you don't have money, then you give it in services, in manual labor.
Right.
And that's where we've always come with it. And this show, along with the TV show, both are volunteer. I'm lucky with Ian that he's a volunteer and he comes in from Warner. You know, and so, but I'll tell you, usually everybody's got their hand out for something.
Right.
And that's sad, but that's the way it is, though. You know.
It is.
And
but it's amazing, though, Dick, that you know when you do volunteer and you become involved in charity and supporting your parish and the youth and their programs, it's such a rich experience as a volunteer. You know, you take away, I think, more for yourself spiritually. Than what you feel as though you can give to others. You know, you strive to do that giving and that volunteering, but it's just such a rich experience to actually become involved at that level and see the benefits of what you're doing to help others.
I know many times I wondered, I said, gee, you know, maybe it's time for me to give up doing the parade or the tree lighting or something. But then when it arrives and you see the smiles on the kids and the adults, you know, it just makes it all worthwhile, you know. But those days leading up to the event, trying to raise money, it's just like, sometimes it's like, why am I doing this? But then the night arrives or the day, and now you see it's worth it with all the excitement.
Right.
But now, what other offices do you have in your chapter? You mentioned I assume when you said regent, that's like the president or
correct. Yes.
So what else do you have for offices?
Well, we have actually 5 officers: the regent, vice regent, financial secretary, recording secretary, and treasurer. And this year in May, we are going to have elections for the next 2-year term. So we are entitled to have 2 consecutive terms as in a particular office. So this will be my last year as regent. We'll have a new slate of officers elected in May, and they will be installed in June with Father Rich officiating over that celebration. So the cycle begins again. 2 more years. Yeah.
Now, how much you pay? How much does someone pay for dues to join or belong to it?
Just $25. Yeah. Just enough to pay our state and national dues.
Yeah, that's what we do too. We have that.
And our liability insurance.
Sure. Now, your meetings are at the St. John's Church Center, the Activity Center?
Right. They're right there at the St. John's Activity Center.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah. We're very fortunate that the parish has given us so much support in terms of the building, the facilities, and the staff's help. It's been incredible.
Have you found any increased interest since the churches have been merged together? Like, did you have members before from St. Peter's or Sacred Heart in your court?
We do. Actually, the court has people from Pennacook as well as Concord.
Oh, good.
And is represented by people that attend IHM as well as those that may have attended St. Peter's and Sacred Heart. So, yeah, it's encompassing all of those communities.
Great. So, you know, it's too bad because you do so much. I mean, just listening to those projects that you've done. Now, when you mention legislation, that kind of I picked up on that because I am a state legislator. Do you ever contact the legislators in Concord to support something or oppose something that's coming up for a vote?
Yes, actually, we have a Circle of Love chair. Pauline Copley is her name,
Okay.
and she is actively involved in the bills that occur in the
Really?
state at the state level, and she will notify the courts, all of the regions and all of the courts in New Hampshire, of legislation pending that may become involved in, let's say, right to life or anti-abortion or what have you. And then we have a listing of the state senators and legislators in the state that people can contact, the Catholic Daughters can contact.
Because I don't think I've ever had a phone call from anybody.
Really?
Yeah, I know I haven't, because I would know definitely if somebody from that chapter had called me, but I've never heard from anybody.
I'll bring it up at our next meeting.
And I've said this to Father Ray many times. I said, I said, when they've mentioned different things like that, I said, you should really maybe put in your bulletin. Like I said, at one time there was at least 2, maybe 3 state reps that went to Mass here. Now, I think I'm the only one that I'm aware of. State senator we have is Dan Feltz, and he's from Concord. I'm not sure what church he goes to. But, I said, I would be more than happy to answer any questions or whatever, but when you don't hear anything.
Right.
And it's odd, because people do have opinions, and but they don't say nothing, so.
Yeah, I will definitely pass along this to our coordinator for that Circle of Love program in legislation. I'm sure she'll be in contact with you.
Yeah, because I'm sure the other ones too that go like to St. John's or Immaculate Conception up in Pentecost, they're all different. Concord has, I think, 13 reps, state reps we do. So, we'd love to hear. I'm sure he'd love to hear from on different topics.
Right. And Pentecost actually has its own Catholic Daughter chapter as well.
Oh, do they?
With Immaculate Conception.
I've never heard of it up there. What's the name of that one?
I don't recall. I think it's Pope John Paul II is the name of their court. And so, they are involved. I think they've existed for about 5 years. I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
So
of
they
that.
are fairly new then.
Yes.
Now that's a surprise, because you think in this day and age to start an organization, you've got to have a good healthy membership to start with.
Yeah.
Because some will come just to see what it's all about, and they may not come back again, but you hope they will.
Right.
But, and there again, they need to get out there, either put newspaper items in the paper, because people don't know what they do.
Right.
And I found that out, that we've been very lucky with the Insider, because they have put a lot of stuff in when I'm putting in for Grange information.
Yeah.
But, you may not get any members, but still, at least people know what you're doing.
Right.
And they can see it out there.
Yeah, and sometimes organizations may submit information for the monitor, but doesn't always appear.
Oh, yes. Well, I know that one. I try to send it in on the town crier on Sundays anyway, but you're right. It's true.
Yeah.
And because they always say that organization news doesn't sell papers well. I beg to differ. Well, we are getting ready to come to a close, and we've been so happy to have you here with us, Kathy, on Faith Speaks, and of course, knowing your chapter is very busy around town too, so it's good. And anytime in the future, please give us a call, and we'll gladly get you on when you've got a project coming up, or something that we can certainly get the word out there for you.
We certainly will do that, Dick, and I really thank you so much for inviting me today to share the work that the Catholic Daughters have been doing in Concord.
Well, anytime I can, anytime in the future, please give us a call, and we'll certainly get you on. So with that in mind, I want to thank my director, Ian Marks, for his help as usual. Yes, his wave, there he goes. And please give us a call, and don't forget, your faith speaks. Your faith is very important, and now in the Lenten season and getting ready for Easter, so always remember to say your prayer in the morning and nighttime, and thank God for another day. So with that, I'm your host, Patten. Have a great day, and we'll talk with you soon on Faith Speaks.